Located on 225 acres in Garden City, Long Island, Nassau Community College, a member of the State University of New York system, has close to 20,000 students attend the school each year. The college mascot is Leo the Lion, and these are his stories of the school's absolute best and brightest who have graduated over the past 50 plus years. So let's catch up together as the Alumni Association of Nassau Community College proudly presents Lion Tales on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC.
Welcome to Lion Tales. My name is Dr. Lynnda Nadien, and I am a director on the board of the Alumni Association at Nassau Community College and a proud graduate. I am here to celebrate the successes of our alum, and together we will share stories that will uplift, inspire, and often amuse you. Each week, I will introduce you to the alumni of Nassau Community College and interested in sharing their stories while attending the college and the secrets to their success. Look for many new and exciting events on the Alumni Association social media pages and share any exciting news with us on Facebook, Instagram, or on our webpage at ncc.edu/alumni. Or find me on X at Dr. Lynnda Nadien. Did you know Leo the Lion is the mascot for Nassau Community College? Lions are ruled by Leo and fire. The male lions represent pride while the females stand for teamwork. Together, we are Lion Tales. Lions stand for leadership and pride in oneself. Today, I would like to welcome to Lion Tales Daryel Groom, class of 1994. Daryel Groom is a proud alum and an educator. She is an English teacher at Wyandanch High School and is a published author. She writes poetry, short stories, plays, and is working on a novel. She is an animal advocate and received degrees from Molloy University and Queens College. She is a proud educator and believes writing and developing skills are the foundation for all educational successes. Welcome to Lion Tales, Daryel Groom, class of 1994.
Thank you for having me. Thank you, Lynnda.
Thank you. So tell us about your experiences way back when you first came to Nassau, and how did that journey begin?
Well, I started out as a part-time student, and I was working mostly like 3 to 4 days a week in a doctor's office, so I wasn't fully committed yet. And then I kind of got my bearings later on. I actually got a grant, so I went to Nassau free because I got a VESIT grant because I had some issues that I had to take care of, but Wow. That actually helped me. So I didn't pay for Nassau for those two years and change that I went there. So I got free books, I got free classes because of my eligibility. But that was very crucial for me because at that time I was working, but I didn't have like a lot of income for the other things that I needed, for travel and class and stuff like that.
Yeah. That's amazing because the Alumni Association that's a big part of the work that we're doing, allowing scholarships and grants being given to students in need so that they can continue and then graduate. So it's great to hear that you were able to take advantage of that. But before that, how did you decide to attend Nassau? Was it because you knew about some of the grants that were available?
Well, I knew, VESIT is actually a state grant, yes. And it's allotted to students with disabilities of many kinds. And I want people to know about that because maybe people are not aware of it and they might be held back from using that. But one of the reasons I applied to Nassau because I knew it had a good reputation. I knew the professors were phenomenal. I knew there was a lot of help. I have a certified learning disability in math, so I was a little hesitant. Even though my major was English, I was hesitant because I knew I had to take math, at least 2 classes to get my associate's degree. So I knew they had a pretty stellar disability program where I could get resource help and stuff. And actually, I have to say, without a doubt, that Nassau, although I loved Molloy because it was very small and the classes were small and there were a lot of good professors there as well, that the professors at Nassau were just phenomenal and at another level beyond that.
Yeah.
At least for Molloy at that time.
Absolutely.
So that's just my experience, and especially in my subject area.
Yeah, and it's so interesting because usually with any type of learning disability, usually there's a very high function in ELA where there might be a lower function in math. And then sometimes students that are coming in from college say, oh, I'm very concerned about having to do the coursework in math because I'm so much stronger in ELA, or vice versa. What would you tell that incoming student now who is kind of concerned about, well, I know I can pass the ELA and I know I can pass most of the liberal arts, but I'm very concerned about the math. What would you advise those students to approach that beginning of their career at Nassau to avoid not coming at all because they're afraid of the math?
Well, the first thing I would tell them, well, number one, if they have like a certified disability like I did, they have a whole program that's designed to help them that lets them take the test there or gives them accommodations according to their needs. That's number one. Number two, if they don't fit in that criteria, they can take advantage of tutoring, which I know is free on campus.
Absolutely.
I think they have a mentoring program there now, too, because I know that's a big thing.
Yes.
So, I mean, there's all kinds of free resources that they could take advantage at the school while they're on campus. Say they're there part-time. They could come if they go in the evening. They might come an hour early or stay an hour late for whatever. But they have to actually reach out, and they have to look. I mean, I know it's all over the website, the tutoring, because I went to Suffolk recently just to take 2 math classes. So I'm going to tell you that because years ago when I took those 2 math classes in Nassau, I didn't do too well, so I had to take them over to get this other certification in special ed that I just received.
Wow, great. Congratulations.
So, thank you. So I got an A and a C+, but regardless of what I got tutoring. The tutoring was offered at Suffolk just like it's offered at Nassau because they're both community colleges. So I know for a fact that it's offered for free. And I was on Zoom with I didn't even have to leave my house with some of these great professors. Yeah. So I'm sure they offer the same thing in Nassau.
Absolutely. And, one of the reasons why I'm bringing that up is because, as now you are an English teacher and you're in a high school and you have an opportunity now to say to students, this was the journey that I chose, which was Nassau Community College. And so we want to make sure that students are going to take advantage of either Nassau Community College or, at least even a 4-year if they can, and not be discouraged by the fact that they may not be doing as well in certain subject areas because, like you said, you were able to do well in those areas. What are some professors that inspired you while you were here?
I actually, it's so long ago, I don't remember the names, but to be honest,
no, a lot of it, we never remember the names. Sometimes we do, and sometimes we don't.
I do not. There was, I don't know if he's still there. I used to work on campus there was a gentleman who ran a program for the blind. I don't know if he's still there. His name was John.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Is he still there?
It's possible. We can probably check.
Anyway, I worked for him, and he was just a phenomenal genius. He did Braille work. He did computer. That's when the technology was just starting to come in. And I worked in that office kind of like as an aide to him. And he had a seeing eye dog, and we would work with the students. But it was really his work, but I was just assisting him as a student worker. But he was a phenomenal person and genius in his own right. But all the English teachers, and I don't remember names because it's been a while, but there was one teacher in particular, and I don't remember her name. She was a mythology teacher. She did urban legends and folklore.
Oh, wow.
I remember her. Yeah, so that was one class I really loved. All the composition 101, 102 classes were great. Even the history classes, all the history teachers were... because those are my favorite classes. And even I took a grammar class, and I remember out of all the facets of writing and reading, that was the most difficult class for me because it was more logical than, I guess, esoteric.
Right.
So that class was harder for me. So that teacher met with me, and I knew that, she didn't really have the kind of time as a professor, so she actually met with me and took the time to go over a lot of the grammatical errors I had been making or whatever to make sure I understood, what I was doing.
Yeah.
So I thought that was pretty impressive. knowing that the school is much bigger than Molloy, and she took the time to do that kind of, extra help.
Yeah, because even a little bit, the 4 or 5 minutes that someone would sit with you, it does really change your approach to succeeding in the class. You are listening to Lion Tales on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. My name is Dr. Lynnda Nadien, and our guest today is Daryel Groom, class of 1994. So describe your work in writing and publishing. Were you always interested in writing, even as a young child, and then throughout school, or it was something that came to you later on?
Well, when I was in high school, 11th and 12th grade, 11th grade, I was in the writing club called Phoenix at Baldwin High School.
Oh.
And I had some things published there. And then the senior year, I was the editor of the yearbook. Well, not of the yearbook, but I was working in the yearbook on nonfiction articles about students. And then I worked as an editor for the literary magazine, which was Phoenix. Again, and all through it, since I was an early teen, I would say 13 on, I started writing poetry, and then as I got older, it started to become more prominent, I actually wrote in school. I wrote a lot of papers, obviously, for my subject that I studied, but then I later became, it kind of bloomed from there. I've gotten a couple of, I would say 10 poems published at least, and then I just started getting some short stories published, which I'm happy about. Because you get a lot of rejection, as most writers will tell you.
Right.
And then when you get a yes, it feels really good. So I'm starting to get, and then I have one short poetry book I'm waiting to get published with a friend of mine, Judy Turek. And then a short story anthology I finished writing. I have to get that published. So it's just waiting on. I just started meeting people, and at this writers festival I just went to. So yes. I'm starting to network for the publication portion of that.
Yeah. Do you have a literary agent? I know way in the past, pre-COVID, I was attending some seminars, and, they do recommend, a literary agent, but then at the same time, they tell you that you can probably self-publish. I don't really know. Those are the things that kind of hold me back, thinking, all right, do I need an agent, or do I just actually self-publish? Do I send in essays? I've done that before. I've written some essays and then sent them in, and then they may possibly, publish it, but it's, hit or miss. You never know. What would your strategy be for people that are?
Well,
I'm
kind of encountering that journey myself, as you stated.
Yeah.
So I have those couple of things published, through, journals and literary magazines, which is great. But I met with someone yesterday who's, I guess he's self-published.
Yes.
But I'm going to talk to him. I'm going to reach out to him, because I don't know if having a literary agent where I'm at in my writing career would be realistic, because I'm not really known yet.
Right. Yeah.
So I think what I might do is just keep pushing my stuff out there. I'm going to get that one poetry book published with a friend of mine who helps people publish through her.
Yeah.
Organization, which is kind of not well known, but you get your stuff out there. You go to poetry readings, and the short story, which is prose.
Yes. I'm
going to talk to this gentleman about. I forget his name. I think it's Bill. I forget now. I met him yesterday at the poetry thing that I was at. So I think it's Bill McGee. So he just published a book. He sells it on Amazon. So it's kind of like self-promotion, which is a lot of what's going on in the literary industry right now.
Yeah, and
So I'm going to have to go that route until you get a name for yourself. That's my position, because I've seen it. Many people go that way. So I think you have to do a little bit of everything,
right,
when you have time.
I know that some of the literary agents that I was speaking with, a few years ago, they were saying, this was before people were developing their own websites. So they say, well, you can put some things on the website and then sort of give everybody a little glimmer into what you're writing about, and then see if there's an interest level, and then you would move to the next step. And now there's so many ways to kind of get some of your work out there, because there's a lot of social media platforms that might help as well. So tell us about now your work as a high school English teacher, because again, that's a very inspirational position to be holding, and working with students to get them to really start writing. And what are your strategies for introducing them to writing?
Well, today, my 12th grade class just read Beowulf.
Okay.
It was a hard text for them, but it was translated, of course. I wouldn't do it any other way. But, initially they were like reluctant to read it. And I just said, listen, if you can read this, you can read anything from Shakespeare, which they've read Shakespeare, this class. They read Macbeth last year or something. And also I said to them for inspiration, I said, if my students in the jail, who some of them came to me, couldn't even read, read Othello, Romeo and Juliet, Macbeth, and Hamlet with me, then you can certainly read Beowulf with me. So they did.
Yeah, amazing.
They just finished it, and now they're writing a literary essay. So I'm kind of modeling it against the Regents so that those students who still have to take the Regents know how to do a thesis statement and a literary, focusing on one literary strategy or idea or device. So that's what I was doing actually today. I gave them, an outline, a sample essay, and we just went over basically what a thesis is, because I think a lot of kids, they're so confused with writing. They need to know the basics before they can move forward and then embellish it.
Yeah. What are some of the benefits and the challenges to that right now? When, again, it's thesis writing or developing the conceptual framework or any type of work like that, really needs to be modeled. What do you do in the classroom during the day? What types of, besides the novels, what do you show them, on the chalkboard or on the smart board? Do you model some of the pieces that you're going to use?
What I do is I give them not a done essay. I'll give them one essay, say a model from the Regions. That's a literary essay, to show them what a great one, exemplary one would look like. Then I go over a task for that. Then I give them a handout, and it's also on their Google Doc, that gives them a skeleton of what that essay would look like. So maybe a topic sentence. Where do we put in our literary device? So they have a map of how to do it.
Yeah.
So for each paragraph, they might have a topic sentence, and they don't have to use mine, but at least they know how to start with a transition and adding their own, and then putting their own literary device in there. So they're not lost and just guessing about what they have to do. And this gives them a framework to move forward with.
Yeah, because the modeling is so critical. Now, how do you know when you see a student that is a talented writer and maybe they're reluctant to do it and they're not even sure that they're actually good at it, but you have noticed it? What might you do to encourage them to continue?
Well, I have one student who she likes to write because when we wrote letters at the beginning of the year, she already stated that she loves to write. But it's not that she's not talented, it's that she won't complete what she starts. That kind of thing. She can be late sometimes, and then she does. We just had a quiz, which she wasn't really writing, so I don't think she was as interested. So I'm trying to get her to finish what she starts. So sometimes you'll have students who are talented, but they don't complete. So if you could have a hard worker, but they might not be as talented, but they complete what they start.
Yeah.
So you want to encourage them. Okay, well, you went this far, but you're lacking in these areas. You have to, add to these areas, or it's not a complete idea. It's not a complete essay.
And then how do you promote writing on a daily basis? With journaling or, using notes on the phone. There's so many ways now. I just pretty much found notes on the phone so I can, if I have a kind of a thought or I want to remember something, I might, type it in that way. What are the students doing to kind of get their thoughts in order, and what are you expecting of them as English students?
Well, they have forms they can write in Google Docs. They can do also a stream where they can, if I ask a do now question, they can stream on their computers their answers. And the program we're currently working with is called Sabbath.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And we're just getting training on it. So it's not even I'm using it every day, but we're not well versed in it yet.
Yes.
But they have a workbook, plus they have the e-text. So they're able to bring the e-text home and study the text if they were absent or they didn't finish it in class. And then it has, like, obviously comprehension. Then it has, like, group work charts where they can work as a group. And then what they want to build in our school is something called accountable talk, where the students, you might give them a do now and they discuss it for 2 minutes in their groups. And then you go to group and you want to see them using the language of and discussion with text. So that's one of the areas that we're trying to, like, spring forth, like, motivation, because a lot of the kids want to hide.
Right.
They want to bring a phone. They want to hide with an ear pod. They don't want to be in reality, so you want to bring them out. And I use media. I use, like, fun things, like Stranger Things. I used a song by Kate Bush about monsters when we did Beowulf. So stuff like that. You just want to keep them in touch with what we're doing as much as possible. So some things I let them do in groups, and then some things it's individual, like a quiz, like a comprehension, they have to do it on their own. But as far as the essays, that has to be, that can be, like, discussed in group, but they have to be responsible for creating one.
You are listening to Lion Tales on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. My name is Dr. Lynnda Nadien, and our guest today is Daryel Groom, class of 1994. So we're talking about sort of really strategies used in the English classroom at the high school. You do work at Wyandanch High School. What have you learned over the years in terms of teaching that sort of help you flourish as an educator and, now doing also writing as your side, job as well?
Well, the biggest thing with me as far as in the classroom is to me, it's not just a job because, I obviously trained for this job and everything, but over the years, it's, I think the biggest thing in becoming a teacher is you have to have a rapport with the students. It has to be a little bit of fun. You have to be serious when you need to be. But if you have a rapport with the students, you can build a community and make it like a family, which I try to do. And you make it, a happy, joyous place to be. Like, the kids want to be there.
Right.
Because you're having fun, you're serious when you need to be, but you let them know that you care about what they do. And I think that's the most important thing is the concern. If you're not concerned, why should they be?
Right. Yeah.
So basically, that's what it comes down to.
And then do you find just this generation and this group of students in high school, they're a little bit reluctant in certain things. They're also very nervous because they do want to have success at school. And when we talk about promoting diversity, equity, and inclusion in our high schools, do you think we're doing a good job of that? Or what are some strategies that we might want to revisit or improve upon to make it more inclusive for students?
Well, one of the things that the school does, which I think more schools should do, is so we have neighboring schools that are a little bit more, wealthier districts. I'll just say it that way.
Yeah.
So they come. We have several of our class members visit their school, and they have like a day with those kids visiting, and then their school, say it's Sayville, because we're in Suffolk. For instance, I'm not even sure who visited last year, but I think it was like a district, high-end district, whatever. So they came and visited our school.
Yeah. And
the kids absolutely loved it because they got to see a different way of life or a different school and how it functions. And the kids at Sayville absolutely adored our school. We have a very loving community.
Yes.
And I think one of the things about when you're dealing with a high-end district, a lot of people have misconceptions about what really goes on in those schools. When we have a very, very loving community, more so than I got called for Rockville Center. I will not work there. I got called from high-end district. I love where I'm at.
Yeah.
I wouldn't trade it. I might, down the years, it's kind of a commute for me from Long Beach, but if it gets too much for me, I don't know. But right now, it's a loving community, and I have not found that anywhere else that I've worked.
Yeah,
and I've worked in a lot of places.
And it's interesting because your beginnings at Nassau Community College, led you to this road. So obviously, you're in a spot now where you're meant to be, and the need is great for a teacher that's actually thinking strategically about how to motivate students and, continuing to even motivate yourself as an educator. How do you work on balancing work and play and study and then making sure that you remain motivated as an educator?
Well, one of the things I do is I work on, I'll kind of tier my work. I don't know if that's the right word, but some days I'll do lesson plans. Like I do my lesson plans like Saturday or Sunday. This way I have the week to do grading. Like I try to reach a balance. I'm not always able to because of the workload that I have when I get to school, or they throw stuff at you with data, which I'm not really crazy about.
Yeah.
But all this other stuff they throw at you, and they have deadlines. But you know what? You try to make a balance. You get done what you can within certain days, and you make a schedule. If you're able to make a schedule, then I'll spend time with my husband. I walk my dog. I don't get to go to the shelter right now because I have too much lesson plans and grades to do. But last year when I worked part-time and the years before, I went to the shelter on Sundays and walked the dogs. Now I'll write on Friday night. I give myself Friday nights my writing night. I don't always get to do it, but that's what I aim for. You have to give yourself rewards, and you have to give yourself time.
Yeah, and if
you don't do that, you go crazy.
Yeah, and we didn't mention, but you are an animal advocate, and you have a pit bull and 2 cats, but you are also sort of an animal activist as well. So that's really amazing.
I'm also a vegetarian, but I don't really talk about it for those reasons, I guess.
I would like to thank our guest, Daryel Groom, class of 1994. How can our listeners contact you? They can on Facebook. They can contact me there, and that's where I have some of my readings from my poetry when I'm able to share them. Excellent. Thank you for being here today, Daryel Groom, class of 1994. I would like to thank you for being our guest today. My name is Dr. Lynnda Nadien, and I serve as a director on the board of the Nassau Community College Alumni Association, and I'm a proud alum. Lion Tales is available as a podcast on iTunes, Android Podcasts, and Spreaker. More information online at nccradio.org. Thanks for listening to Lion Tales on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC.
My simple solution to the problem was remove people from the scene and help them feel safer.
In response to attacks against Asian Americans, Maddie Park raised over $250,000 to donate cab rides to the Asian community.
There is so much more work to be done. We really need to come together and tackle this issue as a community.
Support the Asian community. Learn how at lovehasnolabels.com. Brought to you by Love Has No Labels and the Ad Council.